All right, y'all, we are down to the home stretch, and I have solved in this episode one of the biggest mysteries of the season. I cannot wait to give you the Brim truth. We start off watching Julia's body go through the cremating process, and we find out later that to bury these bodies isn't possible now because of the frozen ground, so maybe that's why Navarro wanted to get it done, or because she knew her sister wanted to be in the sea. The Anipek woman's sweatshirt has pictures of the sea, which shows just more detail of how much the sea means to this story. Navarro feels the warmth from her sister one final time. The final shot of the intro this week is the secret meeting at the mine, which I'll get into later. We arrive at Liz talking to Otis about Clark. Otis really gave us no real information. He couldn't tell us about how he survived his injuries, couldn't tell us about Clark, and didn't even really know what happened. He just knew he needed a fix.
He was crazy as shit, man.
Hilarious, because if that isn't a pot calling the kettle, him calling Raymond crazy. He did mention Clark said she's awake.
She's awake. Said that a bunch of times.
So she is still most likely Sedna. I'm hearing a theory that Sedna is also Navarro and Navarro is the killer of the scientists. Navarro killed Annie. But just stick with me for a few minutes. I'm gonna tell you who really took out Annie K. Heist mentioned that when he got injured, the cave collapsed and there was a noise, screaming and howling. They're still alluding to this supernatural presence, so that couldn't have been Navarro. Plus, what happened to the other men he was with in the cave? He woke up with all those injuries, the same as the research guys, so it must be something down there in the caves doing it.
Yes, it seems reasonable, put that way.
Cut to Peter wearing an Alaska Aces minor league jersey. He gets kicked out his house, yells about it being his family too. Navarro and Liz talk about how they know the water is poisoning people. Crazy how they know it but can't do anything about it. Sound familiar? Now we see Leah with the black markings on her face to head to the protest with her girlfriend. Next we see the cave's entrance has been blocked off on purpose. Also signs out front letting you know they're watching the caves. That also means someone should have footage of Annie going inside the cave, you would think. And we find out a little later, most likely, why there is no footage. Then we hear Hank playing guitar for the first time, his song sounding like Johnny Cash as Peter walks by and listens outside his window. Sounds like the song is really about him saying you're forever bound to lose, so what's the use? He is sounding extremely defeated, but really it's some foreshadowing happening here. The song is still playing while Leah and members of that group pull up to protest the mine. It gets violent, and I think the song also has to do with the protesters because they keep fighting this uphill battle against the mine. Nothing is happening. Next you see the guy from Kovics walking into work like nothing's going on. Navarro and other troopers are pulling up in riot gear because it's their responsibility to handle civil unrest apparently. You also see the lady that works in the lighthouse in the crowd. The security starts fighting, headbutting the crowd, so you know it's getting bad. Next, Peter calls Hank. Hank lies and said he's fixing his truck. I mean, Hank is so emotionless with Peter, he won't even let him know he's playing guitar. Then Peter lied so his dad wouldn't know that he knew he was lying about playing the guitar and asked if he could stay there. Next, we go back to the protest. Navarro gets on scene and honestly tries to stop the security who went off the rails. Right in the middle of the chaos, Navarro sees a vision of Annie K, which seems like a reminder about why this is happening. Then it looks like Leah hits Navarro in the head with a bottle, which was stupid. She then gets batoned by another trooper, tried to call out to her girlfriend for help, but her girlfriend was like, "Oh, I'm out of here." Navarro steps in and beat up the other trooper, so you know what side she's on. Next, Liz gets called in to speak with Kate about business. Navarro takes Leah in because Liz wanted her locked up, which to me seems fair. If I was a 16-year-old throwing bottles at officers, my mom would want my ass locked up too. Liz finds out Peter got kicked out. Then Peter said he found the paper trail of the money, which he said leads to Tuttle United. Then he said it all stems from Silver Sky Mining Company. So here's my problem. The reveal that the funding was from Silver Sky Mining Company was very underwhelming because we pretty much knew that. We wanted to know why Tuttle United was involved. That's the biggest issue I have. Why go through all the trouble to link it to Tuttle United to only wash that entire story piece away and downplay their involvement? Now I'm feeling like we got a bunch of plot points linked to season 1 just to push this story, but none of it's really gonna connect. That's gonna make me angry.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
It's like they spent a majority of this episode debunking everything. All the connections, all the theories. Like, remember all the cool directions we were gonna take this show? Joke's on you because we're not doing any of that. But hey, we done took the journey this far, so we're gonna solve this damn thing. Plus, Plus, they got one episode left for redemption. So they pieced together that the mine was funding Salal to cook the numbers about the water quality, which is basically why they were there on that fool's errand to find the essence of life, which Bryce said couldn't be done anyway. Peter then offers Leah a refreshing beverage. Then she goes on to explain to him how he got kicked out because he said the wrong thing.
Why don't you just say it? That I ruined your life and you didn't want to have the baby.
Which I do all the time. And then he needs to make it up to her. Next, Liz gets to the Silver Sky offices. You see the word murderer still lightly on the building, which shows that the cleaning team either was terrible or they really didn't care about actually removing the words at all. Then we find out Kate wanted to meet with Liz to find out why her and Navarro were at the entrance to the caves. Liz had to basically reveal her hand and tell Kate everything about her, Heist, the money, all of it. Then Danvers gets told the scientist basically froze to death and it was no murder. Connolly told Liz he found out about the information for the Wheeler case and how things didn't happen as they said. Then Connolly follows up with a sonic boom and tells her it's time to shut the Annie case down. Now here's where we get to the scene from the intro, and it's our friendly neighborhood Hank having a secret henchman meeting with Kate. Or is it? Now it's time for my mad theory of the week. Just follow me on this. This is the second time we've seen Kate have a conversation with Hank. Each time they have a conversation, Kate always starts it off with asking how Peter's doing.
Hey, Henry. Hey. How's Peter?
Well,
how's Pete?
Now, a little further into the conversation, she tells Hank
she can't find that cave.
That's because Kate is Peter's mom. And because she's his mom, this clears up everything that has to do with the Annie K case. Her and Hank are covering up a murder that Peter did. When she made that statement to Hank, she sounded like a concerned mother for the reason why they needed to keep Liz from the cave, to protect their child. That's why Kate is always so concerned about Peter. That's why she's always asking Hank about Peter first before any other parts of their conversation. That's why she calls him Henry, because they used to be together. Now she's recruiting Hank for a mission to disappear Heist because they don't want Liz to find the caves. Hank does look uncomfortable, but what does he always say?
blood is blood.
So we gotta make it happen. Now with that piece of information, the whole thing should start to make sense. Then we hear Auld Lang Syne playing in the background. I mean, it is New Year's Eve. Then we cut to Navarro doing laundry on New Year's Eve, which is actually bad luck. She feels a long dark hair in the dryer, almost like the spirit of Annie K or the spirit of her mom was in there. Kavik finds Navarro at the laundromat, which to me looks like he was either tracking or following her, says his friend knows about the spiral. I'm thinking he about to go into some details about the cult, but we get that it's just a warning sign telling people to stay away from thin ice. This is another time in the episode they are debunking any cult happenings or ties to season 1. This could just be to throw her off because Annie and Clark did have the tattoos of it, so they must have known what it meant besides a warning of thin ice. Here we find out that the caves are actually what they call the Night Country. Here's where the one girl from the Blue King just walks right through the scene. Seemed very intentional. Her and Navarro make eye contact. I don't think that was random. Something is definitely up with her and she is a part of this mystery. Now, is she a part of the cult? I don't know. Guess we'll find out next week. Navarro comes to Liz hyped up, ready to cave hunt, and that's when Liz breaks the news that it's over and the case is shut down. Hank catches Peter making copies and tells him a weird story about how he saved him from the ice when he was skating. Now, Peter didn't remember that happening, but this is a subtle reminder from Hank for him not to forget how he saved his life and also that he's his father and he will continue to protect him just like he's doing with the Annie K case. You hear Warm Shadow by Fink start to play, then they cut to Rose and Navarro on the ice. Rose helped Navarro break through to release Julie's ashes into the sea. Breaking through the ice was a metaphor here. Now I know some people are thinking that Rose is alive because she helped Navarro here, but I still don't think so. Why would Navarro let an older woman do all the work breaking the ice more than she did? Plus, Rose said, "Do you want me to stay?" I'm telling you, she's Eva's ghost buddy. This is just an illusion of them doing things together. You'll find out that Navarro really was actually doing this stuff herself. I also heard a theory that Rose is a dog, which is possible, but she's definitely not a real person, that's for sure. Rose disappears again into the shadows. I mean, it's not believable to me that she's walking for miles all over the place, out there in the freezing cold, in the tundra, and she's an older woman. She's not even using the snowmobile that was outside her place when Navarro went there. She's just using her 2 good feet. Nah, she's either there giving Navarro guidance, or it could be mental health and she's part of Navarro's delusion. I mean, next Navarro hears a voice calling her name. They pan away, and there is literally no one around. How fast do you think Rose was walking? She's not Sonic the Hedgehog. You would still see her and her flashlight walking somewhere. Then it switched over to Navarro having a vision of that same military scene from before. The ice starts to break underneath Navarro's feet, and then Rose is immediately there to help out. She's not real. Liz goes to speak with Leah, and we see Hank watching and following her. She ends up at the graveyard that we see in the trailer, looking at all the little ones' bodies, waiting for a resolution. This was the heartbreak Liz needed to keep going with the case. Liz heads back to the station and goes right to the evidence room to get Heist some medicine. Now she calls out Peter because he let it slip to Hank about the Wheeler case because bro has a terrible password on his laptop. Liz now has Peter run the question gambit about the Wheeler case to her. Peter then stunned Liz by figuring out Wheeler was left-handed. Next, the detective puzzle music kicks in again. And I love when the music kicks in because that's when you know they figuring things out. This is also showing Peter improved his skills throughout the season. This leads into how the photos of the bodies had been flipped to affirm the story told by Liz and Navarro at that time to cover up what really happened. She still never fully explained it to him though. In flip photos,
that's some bullshit.
She told him he can't stay at Hank's and Peter had to come kick it in her she shed. Hank tries to talk to Peter, but Peter felt betrayed, so he finally stands up for himself. Navarro again just walks in Kavix and gets in his bed like she lives there. Die For You by Perfume Genius starts playing in the background. Now, I don't know about y'all, but it's looking like ain't no heat in that shack at Danvers.
It's as cold as my love for you.
I probably would have hit a hotel, a short stay or something, but this had to happen in order to set up the later sequence of events. Liz goes and grabs Heist and heads back to her place. Then she calls Navarro and tells her to come work on the case again. Kavik made sure to mention to Navarro that he wants her to come back. Next, Heist gets the medicine in exchange for the location to the way in the cave. He retires to the chamber to get well.
I know what you're doing.
Liz then puts her weapon on the table. Then we go back to Navarro driving, and a young child crosses in front of her who points at her, just like the other spirits, and they show them all to you. Now, this scene in particular just makes me think that she sees spirits everywhere, just chilling, doing spirit stuff. Rose.
All right, enough is enough.
Hank then shows up at Danvers, asked to take Heist. Here's where the situation starts getting more elevated and Liz knows it. Hank draws his weapon on Heist and Liz still can't seem to calm it down. Peter being pissed at him really sent Hank over the edge, so he plugged Heist, once in the shoulder, then in the dome. Pete comes in, gun drawn, and points it right at his pops. I feel like Liz can just sense what's about to happen. Hank says,
I need your help, son.
Probably to trigger Pete into feeling guilty because he covered up Annie for him. Hank's just standing there looking really disappointed his son did not take the gun off him. You almost feel for him, but then remembering how he probably abused Peter, shouldn't really have surprised him, honestly. So you gotta realize too, Pete is a mama's boy. He's really controlled by all the mother figures in his life. So now that Hank's control over him has been broken, their relationship's terminated. Hank says, blood is blood, and he acts like he's about to shoot Liz, pretty much on purpose, so Pete would have to choose right there if he's Team Hank or Team Liz, and Pete plugs Hank to save Liz. Which is kind of wild because he hates Liz, but probably more like a son would be hating a mom since she kind of took over Kate's role. Nothing Breaks Like a Heart from Clea plays in the background. Navarro arrives and they go immediately into crisis mode. Now this visual is crazy right here. Then she explains to Liz how they can cover this up. Also, her knowing where the duct tape was stashed away is kind of creepy. Now it could be just me, but it looked like something snapped inside of Navarro because now she got the crazy eyes. Next, Pete even co-signed on this whole caper, even says he'll clean everything up. Liz looks at him like she really don't want him to head down that path, but it's too late. They in the night country for real now. Here's where Navarro tells Peter to clean and that he knows what to do.
You clean good. You know what to do.
Almost seems like they did this before, don't it? Because how does Peter know what to do if this is his first time or he's not really that kind of cop? Then she said take the bodies to Rose and tell her to take you to Julia. Peter is the only other one in the show to mention Rose. So something is up between them and Rose, but we gonna find out Sunday. I'm excited to see how they handle this. We end with Liz and Navarro driving intensely on the way to the mine. This episode gave us just a little taste more of this mystery, but took from us everything. I mean, they really went out their way for like the first half of this episode to downplay all the tropes that it looked like they were building throughout the season. So could that be something just to throw everyone off, and in this final episode they will revert back? I don't know. But right now it's seeming like all the clues from season 1 are just not going to connect to anything, except they're just little throwaway Easter eggs that, you know, were a nice reference but mean nothing. We probably won't see Rust. You know, we probably won't understand what's going on with the spiral. You know, I don't know what's going to happen with this. But unless we get an extended finale or something, I don't know how they're going to wrap all this up in 1 hour. But with it being the mystery, there are things I'm still excited to learn, and there are a few big questions that I do want answered, which they better answer. Number 1 is, why would Peter kill Annie K? 2, what the hell is going on in those caves? 3, what really happened to the Tsalal scientist? And probably my biggest question of all is, will the Carcosa spiral mean anything, or was it just a throwaway Easter egg? So I'm going to try and give you a final predictions video on Friday to wrap up pretty much all my thoughts, put all the theories into one, and see what I think is going to happen as far as the finale is concerned. Now, hopefully this finale will be a good one and really deliver to those of us who's been following the mystery and really intrigued by the season. They got to do us right. But what are your thoughts on the episode? Did they downplay anything? Did they debunk anything? Or did it even really matter to you? I want to know your thoughts, your comments. I love reading them, and I love interacting and engaging with everybody still. Y'all come up with the best stuff. Like, y'all are real. We all in the Night Country together. So can't wait to see what else you got to say about episode 5. But I appreciate you stopping by. I got more reviews, reactions, news on the way. So definitely hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It definitely helps me out. I appreciate it a lot. You don't want to miss out on all my new content. So until next time, everybody, please, please, please be safe. And remember, always speak your truth, all right? I'm out.